Hi, I'm Kevin. If you've watched any of these before, you know I'm usually walking around the neighborhood. But I just got off work and my dogs are barking, so I'm sitting on the couch. Today we're talking about Carolina Panthers football. Lions at Panthers, Christmas Eve, 2022. Before we even get to Taylor Moton, I need you to understand how weird this Panthers season was. Carolina comes into this game 5-9, and that sounds like a team whose season is over. Somehow it isn't, though. Matt Rule had already been fired after a 1-4 start. Steve Wilkes had taken over. Christian McCaffrey, he got traded away. Baker Mayfield had come and gone. Sam Darnold was now the quarterback. Again. And despite all that, Carolina could still win the NFC South by winning out. Detroit was going in the opposite direction. The Lions were 7-7 after winning 6 of 7. So suddenly Dan Campbell's team had legitimate wildcard aspirations, even though they started the season 1-6. Detroit was actually favored by 2.5 points in Charlotte. So who do you trust here? Do you trust the Lions team that finally figured itself out? Or do you trust this bizarre zombie Panthers team that just refused to die? Oh, and there's one more thing. 6 days earlier, Pittsburgh came into Charlotte and humiliated Carolina's running game. The Panthers ran the ball 16 times for 21 yards. Yeah, so now they got Detroit coming in, and Carolina's identity under Wilkes had basically become run the ball, play defense, don't let the quarterback wreck the game. That means this Christmas Eve game is going to be decided up front, which brings us to number 72. Moton was Carolina's second-round pick in 2017, 64th overall out of Western Michigan. He'd started 52 games in college, which was a school record, including 39 at right tackle. By 2018, he'd become the Panthers' starting right tackle, and from 2018 through the 2022 season, he played every single offensive snap that Carolina had. Hi, Teresa. 5 straight years. The Panthers say he's the only player in franchise history to do that since snap counts became available. That's offensive line fame. Nobody notices you because you're always there. Think about that for a second. Quarterbacks change. Coaches change. Running backs change. The franchise changed personality 3 times. Taylor Moton, right tackle, every snap. And coming into this game, Carolina's line had actually become one of the better parts of the team. The Panthers ranked 6th in PFF pass blocking yards, and they'd allowed 15 sacks since week 6. But after Pittsburgh, the offensive line, they were pissed. So Moton brought the offensive linemen black ski masks. That's pretty cool, seriously. They showed up wearing them during the week, partly because it was really cold in Charlotte that week, but there was also a message there. This line had to take something back. Hello, Torn Toka something. Austin Corbett later admitted the masks were Moton's idea, and then the game started. On the first offensive snap, Chuba Hubbard took it around the left end, 30 yards. Next carry, Hubbard up the middle, 35 yards. 3 running plays later, Raheem Blackshear is in the end zone, and Carolina went 76 yards in just 5 plays, and every single play was a run, okay? Apparently, Carolina's grand total of 21 yards against Pittsburgh, that had been discussed. Detroit answered. Jared Goff found Shane Zylstra for a touchdown, and we were tied at 7. Then the Lions drive all the way inside Carolina's 10 early in the second, and Jared Goff botches the snap. Yetur Gross-Matos recovers. We'll have an episode on him later. And now Carolina takes over at its own 9. And here comes the offensive line again. Dante Foreman goes 38 yards up the middle. A few plays later, Sam Darnold takes a designed run around the right side for 13 yards. Moton's side of the formation, and Darnold finishes the drive himself with a 3-yard touchdown. 91 yards, Carolina 14, Detroit 7. The next Panthers possession starts at their own 8. Terrace Marshall gets 36 through the air. Then Foreman starts hammering away again. 21 yards, 6 more. Carolina converts 4th and 1. Foreman eventually punches it in from 4 yards out. That's another 92-yard touchdown drive. And it's 21-7. At this point, I know this sounds like a Deontay Foreman episode, but it's not, because look at what's actually happening here. Detroit can't penetrate. Carolina's running through whichever gap it wants. And when Darnold drops back, nobody's touching him. That's the offensive line winning a football game. Then with 38 seconds left in the half, Hubbard takes another carry. This one is specifically listed as right tackle. 33 yards. That's Taylor Moton's neighborhood. Carolina turns that possession into a field goal as the half ends. Hello, Chief G. Wet the East. Panthers 24, Lions 7. By halftime, both Foreman and Hubbard were already over 100 yards rushing. The Panthers had 364 total yards in the first half. It's not just a good offensive performance, it's kind of ridiculous. And the second half becomes about protecting that lead. Darnold hits DJ Moore for 47 yards on 3rd and 13, then finds him again for the 5-yard touchdown, 31-7. Detroit eventually gets a couple touchdowns back, but Carolina keeps possessing the football, keeps running, and keeps Darnold upright. The final score, Panthers 37, Lions 23. Foreman finishes with a career-high 165 rushing yards. Hubbard adds a career-high 125. Carolina rushes for 320 yards, breaking the franchise record. They also finish with 570 total yards, and that's also a franchise record. Sam Darnold, he's not sacked. He didn't even get hit, not even once. So 6 days after Pittsburgh sacked him 4 times, hit him 6 times, and held Carolina's run offense to 21 total yards. This is Taylor Moton's game. He doesn't score, and he doesn't catch anything. He doesn't appear on the defensive stat sheet, but if you're building a Taylor Moton episode, this is what offensive line dominance looks like. After the game, Moton is asked what it feels like for an offensive lineman to be part of a 320-yard rushing performance. His answer is just 4 words. Best Christmas ever. Well, that's 3 words. Whatever, that's perfect, right? Wilkes said everything Carolina was doing started up front, and specifically mentioned Moton as one of the veteran leaders responsible for the way the team responded after the Pittsburgh embarrassment. Darnold repeatedly credited the offensive line for allowing the offense to function the way it did. Moton wasn't satisfied because offensive linemen apparently, they're not allowed to enjoy anything. He said they'd learn from the tape, keep trying to improve. He also summed up the important part. They could run when they wanted to, and Darnold stayed clean. That's a tackle telling you he had a great afternoon without actually saying, hey, I had a great afternoon. The win moved Carolina to 6-9 and set up an insane situation the next week. Carolina at Tampa Bay. Win, and the Panthers take control of the NFC South, and they nearly did. Carolina led Tampa 14-0, but Tom Brady and Mike Evans, they wrecked the ending. Tampa won 30-24, eliminating the Panthers. Carolina beat New Orleans the next week and finished 7-10, with Wilkes going 6-6 after taking over a 1-4 team. And Detroit recovered too. The Lions destroyed Chicago the next week. Then they went to Lambeau. They went to Lambeau in Week 18. Seattle's overtime win over the Rams eliminated Detroit before the Lions even kicked off. So Detroit went out anyway and beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers 20-16, knocking Green Bay out too. Misery loves company. The Lions finished 9-8, one of the weirdest great endings to a season that didn't include the playoffs. And as for Moton, he just kept being Moton. He started all 7 teams again. He started all 17 games again in 2023. He finally missed the first games of his career in 2024 after years of durability. Then he played 16 games in 25. At the end of that season, he'd appeared in 145 games with 128 starts, all for the Panthers. In August 2025, Carolina gave him another 2-year extension through 2027, worth $44 million with $40 million of it guaranteed. That's not money they're paying for nostalgia. That's money they pay to keep protecting our quarterback. There's one serious current chapter. In June 2026, doctors discovered a blood clot in Moton's lung. He's been placed on blood thinners, but he's responding well to treatment. The Panthers have said he'll miss the beginning of the 2026 season. So as I'm making this episode, for the first time in almost a decade, Carolina's preparing to play meaningful football without being able to assign Taylor Moton at right tackle. He's expected back during the season, and there's something that I love. You remember Coney Ely? The Panthers traded Ely to New England in 2017 in a deal that moved Carolina up in the draft. The pick Carolina ended up using, number 64 overall, Taylor Moton. So one Panther eventually helped turn into another Panther. Football genealogy, sometimes it's weird. And next time we're jumping sports again. April 27th, 2007, Oracle Arena. The number 1 seeded Dallas Mavericks have come to Oakland for Game 3 against the We Believe Warriors. And Jason Richardson goes for 30. Golden State wins 109-91, takes a 2-1 lead, and suddenly the upset that everybody thought was cute after Game 1 starts looking very, very real. But that's Warrior 50, Jason Richardson. Today was about Taylor Moton, Panther 5. And I'm Kevin. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. I hope to see you again. Hey, check out another one. Like and subscribe.